FactsVerse presents. Two sets of identical twins got married, but wait till you hear about their future plans. Twins have a very special bond. They spend the first 9 months of their existence in their mother's womb together, and they grow up together. For identical twins, the bond is even stronger. Identical twins share an egg, a womb, and identical DNA, and that creates a bond unlike any other. Many identical twins claim to be able to feel what their twin is feeling, like happiness, fear, even pain. Brittany and Brianna, they are identical twins, and they have a very special bond. They grew up very close. They did everything together. The only time that they lived apart was when they went to different colleges, but other than that, they've always been together. They're also very much alike. Their names, of course, both start with the letter B. They also dress alike. They have the same haircut. They both studied law. They even got jobs as attorneys at the same law firm. Their similarities and connection are much more profound than their superficial characteristics. Brittany and Brianna often talk about their future. They wanted to have children one day, and they wanted to be the mother of each other's children. When they dated, they often tried to date men who they called singletons, which is a man who doesn't have a twin sibling. And they did that for a while, but it just didn't seem to work. The sisters took being twins very seriously, and it felt like the men they dated just didn't understand the bond that they shared. So they knew the only men who would probably understand the intense relationship they shared would be men who also had a twin. Because Brittany and Brianna believed that being twins was such a huge part of their identity, they decided to attend a twin festival. And in August 2017, the Twins Festival in Twinsburg, Ohio was taking place, and the sisters decided to go. They thought it'd be a great place to meet men who were not singletons. Well, it was at the festival that they met twins Josh and Jeremy Salyers. Brianna says meeting the twins was one of the most magical moments of her life. She said it felt like she was in a slow-motion movie and that she and her sister had met their soulmates. There was an instant connection that none of them could explain or resist. Brittany was the first of the sisters to spot Josh and Jeremy. She and her sister were sitting on a bench when the twin brothers walked by. Brittany says that they took her breath away. She pointed the men out to her sister, and they were determined to meet the men. Unfortunately, it took them until the end of the festival to make contact. After meeting, though, the four had a great conversation. When the festival ended, the two brothers reached out to the girls on social media. They told the girls that they couldn't wait to meet up again at the festival next year. The girls, however, didn't want to wait to see them. And shortly after, the men went to visit the girls at their home in Virginia. The meeting went great, and they felt really confident about having a future together. The girls say it was something out of a fairy tale. They met men who they were falling in love with, and they were twins. It was what Brittany and Brianna had always dreamed about. Like Brianna and Brittany, Josh and Jeremy's names, again, started with the same letter, this time J. They also have the same job. They work together at a manufacturing company. They say that they always knew they weren't going to get married unless they married twins, which was precisely how Brianna and Brittany felt about them. Things were going great for these two couples. They felt complete symmetry. The two brothers were precisely 5 minutes apart. The girls were too. What are the odds that two sets of twins that were both 5 minutes apart would meet and fall in love? It's little things like this that just prove to the couples they were all meant to be. Jeremy and Josh chose February 2nd, or 2/2, to propose marriage to the girls. An Inside Edition camera crew followed the couple on a trip to Twin Lake, Virginia. Brianna and Brittany thought that they were going to take part in a commercial which explained why their partners were wearing tuxedos. The scenery at the lake was beautiful, and the four were enjoying the evening in front of a beautiful outdoor fireplace. The girls were shocked when Jeremy and Josh got down on one knee and presented them both with identical engagement rings. They looked shocked, and they said yes, in unison. What the girls didn't know was that for weeks before that night, the men were practicing. They wanted to make sure that when they popped the question, they were perfectly in sync. If Jeremy ended up popping the question before Josh, it would have ruined the surprise. The only way for the proposal to work is if they both asked their future brides to marry them at precisely the same time. It took plenty of practice runs for them to get the proposal perfect. Fortunately, when it came time to do it for real, it went just as planned. Even though the sisters are very close, and the brothers are as well, they're not all dating each other. Brianna is specifically dating Jeremy, Brittany is specifically dating Josh. Both Brianna and Jeremy, they were born 5 minutes before Brittany and Josh, so it kind of made that pairing perfect in their eyes. The couples were engaged and they were on cloud nine. Because they were all so close and they got engaged together, they also wanted, of course, to get married together. Instead of a long engagement, the couples wanted to get married right away. So they set a date for just 6 months after the engagement, and they wanted to have a wedding that their friends and family would never forget. So when planning the wedding, they decided to have a theme, and obviously that theme would be, you guessed it, twins. They decided on that theme and they took it very seriously. The couple got identical cakes, identical gowns. They wanted to find identical ministers if possible, and it took some time, but they pulled it off. The last detail to consider was the venue. They decided the best place to get married was in Twinsburg, Ohio, which of course is where they all met, and the name Twinsburg just fits too perfectly. But there was one problem. None of the twins were residents of Ohio, and that caused some bureaucratic red tape issues. It took a little work, but they got everything figured out, and they say planning the wedding was easy because they didn't have any clashing visions of what they all wanted. Brittany and Brianna were on the same page, and so were Josh and Jeremy. The wedding day finally came, and it was beautiful. Everything was perfect. The couples said their vows one by one, and finally they were all married. Brittany and Brianna's dream had finally come true. They had their dream double wedding with their dream twins. After the wedding, the couples still had big plans for their futures together. They even created a hashtag for their wedding, and that hashtag is still following them today. It's Twice Upon a Time. The couple's friends and family members, they weren't the only people at the wedding. Many media outlets were there to cover the unusual marriage. I guess that's not surprising. The TLC network was one of them, and they took particular interest in the wedding. They asked to film a documentary about it, as well as the couple's lives after the wedding. They wanted to do a reality show about the two couples. Well, they talked about it, and rather than signing on to do an entire show, they agreed to a single documentary that focused on the wedding. The show allowed the audience to see the fantastic identical wedding. The most exciting part of the show was the up-close look it gave of the twins' unique relationships. These two sets of identical twins, they got married, but wait till you hear about their future plans. You ready for this? After the wedding, the two couples planned to move in together, all in the same house. They all agreed they wanted to be as close as possible. Since the girls worked together, as did the men, sharing a home, to them at least, made some kind of sense logistically. Jeremy says they all wanted to have twins, too, when they had kids. They wanted them to be born on the same day. They all thought it would be wonderful to raise their families together. Even though the couple's children would technically be cousins, genetically, they would be full siblings, even though they would have different parents, because the parents all had the same DNA. Because both brothers share the same DNA and both sisters do as well, their children would all have the same DNA, so the cousins would actually be brothers and sisters DNA-wise. They just hope that when they finally do have children that they are identical twins. While they are excited to have kids, they all understand having a family that's still a long way off, and good luck timing that out to have kids all at the same time and all twins. That's going to be a feat. Well, many people wonder if both couples have that unrealistic dream when it comes to their future. Some think the idea of sharing a home with another couple, that's just not going to work because the couples wouldn't have any privacy. Brittany and Brianna say privacy's not really the issue because they love to be together, and they've also heard people's disapproval about their plans for a family. Just because the sisters are identical twins, it doesn't mean that they're going to get pregnant at the same time. What'll happen if one couple gets pregnant and the other couple struggles to get pregnant? Will that bring up feelings of jealousy? Also, what happens when it comes time to discipline the kids? There's a chance the couples won't see eye to eye when it comes to discipline. If that happens, that could result in problems within the household. When the couples hear these negative comments, they just choose not to listen for now. Jeremy says their lives are their own and they can do what they want, despite the way that other people feel. People have asked the couples many times if they ever get mixed up and they end up kissing the wrong person. Brittany says that she and her sister, they have a deep love for their husbands, and their husbands feel the same. They also know one another so well they couldn't possibly get confused because their connections to their spouses is so deep. Jeremy says people ask him that question so often it's actually become frustrating. After the wedding, the two couples became minor celebrities for a while. Not only did TLC do the documentary about their wedding, but they were also featured on the Picker and Ben show and many overseas appearances, including the British morning show This Morning with Philip and Holly. For a while, their schedule was booked with interviews and appearances. After the wedding, they decided they wanted things to calm down a bit. They wanted a chance to enjoy their respective spouses and start settling into a married life. They all enjoyed the attention for a while, but now they were trying to live their lives in private. Well, for now, Brianna, Brittany, Josh, and Jeremy, they're all living their lives in privacy. However, this could all change when the girls get pregnant. If they're able to get pregnant at the same time and they have twins, that could be a pretty incredible reality show. The couples have commented on whether or not this would be an option for them. Right now, though, they're just enjoying living out their life in a real fairy tale. Are you a twin? What do you think about this story? Tell us in the comments and subscribe for more.